Okay, in this video what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to like create words from this tree. So the last video we went over how to make this tree recursively, and in this video I'm going to show you how to recursively make words. It's exactly the same idea. This one's a little bit more organized, so we'll do it with this one. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, there's one tricky part about this. I'll explain. All right, so what we're going to do is the following. We're going to say, it's kind of like, it's almost the same thing as last time. Let's go ahead and just make some words. So it'll look like this. We're going to start off with the root, and we're going to say, all right, is the root.left, is it no? No. Okay, good. So go ahead and call it with root.left. Is root.left no? No. Go ahead and call it with root.left, which is D in this case. Is root.left no? No. Go ahead and call it with root.left, so we have G. Okay, so great. So that means we got our G. Well, actually, if we're smart about it, we have ADG, right? We have ADG. We just made that word up. And then what we would do is we would return back to the D, and we already have, like on this level, we already have AD, right? So here we'd have ADH. So when we jump down to this level right here, we have ADH, right? And then we're going to jump back up to here, get AD, and jump down to here and go ADI. Okay? That's kind of how that's going to work. All right, well, the question is this. How should we keep track of like our strings? Like how should we keep track of the word? It's recursive, right? So there's a really easy way to do this. You could use if you're using Java, you could use a string buffer. String buffers are a lot faster than strings when you're appending things to it. I'm not going to use it just for simplicity. I'm just going to use a string. But you could use a string buffer. It makes your code a lot faster. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, all right, if it's null, if it's not null, we're going to call the function. So what should the function take? What should our function take? Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the function. Hold on one sec. Let me show you the function. And it'll make more sense when I show it to you. So if you notice here, the function's taking the node you're on, and it's taking the string. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to erase this down here. We don't need this right now. All right. So we're going to first just call the function with head. We'll just say this has a blank character. So we're going to call it with head. Or we could call it root, whatever you want to call it. Root, and then we're going to call it with the string. We're just going to call it with root, and then the string will just be quote, quote. It's blank. All right, we don't have a string right now. So we'll just call it with ring and quote, quote. Root rather, quote, quote. All right, so we're going to say, all right, is left null? No. So check out what this does. If head.left is null, whatever. If it's not, we're just going to say string plus equals head.val. Right? All right, well, we did that here, right? We went ahead and we go ahead and, so the string now is just this. Right? And then we say print all head.left. So we're going to call it, so we were here, let's do our call stack. So we're at R. Now we're going to call it with A. And we left off at, we'll call this X, Y, Z. We left off at X, okay? Then we're going to call it with A. So let's take a look. And what we'll do here is we'll put what the string is. So right now the string is just this. Okay, we're going to call it with A. We'll put line. It's going to call itself at X, and the string is now this. Okay, good. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to call it again. Is head.left null? Because we have a D. So this, now we're going to go ahead and call it with D. So here's our call stack. So it's line X again, and the string is equal to D. Actually, when we call it, remember, this is actually pretty cool. When we call it, we're calling it with A, so the string is now AD. So when we call it here, like when we call it an A, we're calling it with string plus equals head dot val, so that it was blank, right, from here, and then we called it again, it was A, and then we're going to call it with string, which is A, and then we're going to add the head dot val on, which is D. So now we're going to call it with AD. So string is AD, so we're calling it with AD. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Now we're going to call it with G. Now the line is X. Line is actually not X because head dot left is null. So string, we're going to add the G on. Okay. And I just made an array list. So what the array list will do, the array list is going to look like this now. We're just going to put in the string A. The reason why you use an array list in Java is because I don't know how long it's going to be. I'm ignorant to the fact of how many letters or how many levels this tree has. I don't care. It doesn't matter. So I'm just going to go ahead and now my array list looks like that. I have one thing in there. So I throw it in the array list, right? If you don't know how to do array lists, I can do a quick video and that's pretty easy to do. Array lists are basically, it's a collections in Java that stores a collections of objects. The objects could be whatever. You know, in this particular case, the array list I made stores strings. Okay, and now you're going to say, all right, return. So I'm going to call, well, why do we do it? This is really important to understand. I had a bug here when I first made the program. Why are we doing that? All right, here we go. Okay, so our string is currently ADG. Check this out. On G, right? We're on G. And our string is ADG, right? Our string is ADG. Here's the deal. I'm going to be going from G back up to here. So I should be I should only have AD here. Right? I should only have AD here. If I return it with ADG, when I call it here, my string now has, because remember this is going to be a little different. I have to cut out a substring. I have to cut out the last character because I don't want to call this function with the other character, with the G, because I'll end up getting ADGH, ADGI. I don't want that. So the reason why you have to do that is so it doesn't get messed up. Now you might say, well, the string here is AD. It is, but I'm adding to it right here. And I'm saying words.add string, return string.substring of 0. So it's going to return to where I was here. Let's go ahead and do it. So it's going to get rid of this. Right? And now I'm going to be back to here. Let's see. I'm going to go to here, right there. Head.center and then string. So we're going to call it with head.center and then AD. Yeah, if you don't do it with string.length minus 2, and you just do it with string.length minus 1, you'll end up repeating things, which is weird. You probably could get away with changing this function. Let's see. I'm going to experiment with something real quick. Let's see if I can get away with changing this function. Let's see if I put void, right? And then I just said return. Let's see this. Let's see if this would work. does. Okay, so you could simplify this code a little bit. Yeah, I thought that would work. You know what? I found that bug because I'm following this. I didn't trace the stack. So like this is a little bit hard to follow. Let's just say I'm doing up to GHI. So there. Let's get rid of that. All right, let's go ahead and run it. So you should have what? ADG. We could verify here. We'll put it right there. So we should have ADG, ADH, ADI, AEG, AEH, AEI, AFG, AFH, AFI, BDG. Okay. So you could tell as I'm writing, as I'm doing this tutorial with you guys, I'm like, wait a minute, there's a better way to do this, which is really cool. That's like, you know, you could really catch your bugs like that, which is awesome. It's not hard to trace your code either. So we're going to fix this. All right, that makes it even easier. It makes this code super easy. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. Goodbye, bad code. It's not bad code, but it's just a better way to do it. You know, it really depends on what you want to do and how you want to structure it. But words is a global variable, just so you guys know. So there you go. This is better. So the reason why I knew that was the case, that was wrong, is when I was doing the stack trace, I was like, wait a minute. I know it's there because I traced it. Great. So now we're back at AD, okay? And we were here on D. So now we're going to do center. So it's going to call it with H. And okay, so we're here. Let's just say we're at Y. And H left is null. So you're going to say, all right, well, the string was AD, right? Now the string's going to be ADH. Right? Because here we're passing along the string, which was AD. Now the string's ADH. Cool. Now the words is going to hold another word in here. So we had ADG. Now it's going to, the next index is going to be ADH. I'm writing this like an array, but it's not. It's an array list. It's dynamically resizing, which is really cool. And I don't have to size it. I don't have to give it a dimension when I declare it, which is cool. All right, now I did my H business and I return. Okay, get rid of that. Now it was on Y, which is this Y, and then I'll do Z. So let's go ahead and call it with Z. And we're going to call it with, I was here. Remember, that's X, this is Y, and this is Z. I'm going to call it with string right, so that's here. Right. So I did this, and I returned. Then I'm going to call it here, and I'm going to return. So this is going to be I. And my string is ADI. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add it here. All right, now that I've done that, and I've exhausted this, I'm going to return. So what am I going to return to? Well, I'm going to return here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to return here, okay? And then I was at D, all right? And I was at Y, I called it with Z, and I'm just going to return. I'm going to pop that off the stack. Okay, now I'm back at A. So where was I in A? I was at line X. So now I'm going to go to line Y and A. Line Y and A says, all right, well, what was the string? The string was A. So now I'm going to call it with E. And on E, my string is AE. Again, I'm on line X. When I call it, my string equals AE. And I'm going to call it with G. All right, and now the left here is null. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make the word up ADG. And then I'm going to pop this off the stack. I was on line X, so I'm going to go to line Y. That means that I'm going to call it with the center. So that's let's see here. Sorry, I'm going to call it with the right. Was it AE? Center, I was right. Okay. I'm going to call it with H. And then I'm going to make the word AEH. And then I'm going to pop it off the stack. Right? I'm going to make AEH. And then I'm going to pop it off the stack. And then I was here, so I'm going to call it with right. Then I'm going to do AEI. All right, AEI. Boom. Then I'm going to pop that off the stack. Okay. I've done the X, Y, and Z here. Right? I've done X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to pop this off the stack. Right? Now A, I'm going to go back and I'm going to do the right side. So I'm going to go ahead and do, was it Y? Now I'm going to do Z. So I'm going to do the F and I'm going to do all that. And then after I get through that, I'm going to return to here and I'm going to do the center. And I'm going to go ahead and do that again. So hopefully you understand again what that does. It's almost exactly like inserting nodes. It's almost the same thing. But this is how recursion works. This is the framework for recursion. If you understand this, you'll understand trees, you'll understand linked lists, you'll understand mazes and backtracking. There's a lot you'll understand with this. The easiest way to trace this is draw your call stack and put what line you're on and put what the variables equal. So when you go back to it, you could trace it. That's how I trace it. It makes life pretty easy that way. All right, so thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something.